The air hung heavy, thick with the sweet, skunky aroma. A lone figure huddled in the corner, eyes glazed, a nervous laugh escaping his lips. His name was Daniel, and he was lost. Lost in the labyrinth of his own mind, a prison of his own making. It had started innocently, a way to unwind, to silence the cacophony of the world, but the whispers started subtly, shadows dancing at the edge of his vision. Now they were roars, consuming his every thought, every waking moment. Daniel had always been a curious soul, drawn to the mysteries of the mind. He devoured books on psychology, philosophy, anything to understand the human experience, but his thirst for knowledge had led him down a dangerous path. He stumbled upon online forums, digital echo chambers dedicated to exploring the darker side of consciousness, the hidden potential of the human psyche. That's where he found it, the gateway to a world he never knew existed. The allure was intoxicating, a promise of unlocking hidden truths, of transcending the limitations of the ordinary. But with each puff, with each hazy inhalation, the shadows grew bolder, the whispers louder. His once sharp mind felt blunted, his thoughts sluggish, moving through a fog he couldn't escape. The line between reality and delusion blurred, his dreams bleeding into his waking hours, filled with unsettling imagery, a kaleidoscope of paranoia and fear. He was trapped in a vicious cycle, the very substance that promised escape now holding him captive. The laughter that once brought him joy now echoed with a hollow, unsettling tone. He was adrift, alone in a sea of distorted perceptions. The once vibrant world now a canvas of muted colors and distorted sounds. Days bled into nights, each one indistinguishable from the last. Daniel withdrew from the world, isolating himself in his apartment, his only solace the intoxicating haze that both comforted and terrified him. Work suffered, relationships withered. His once bright personality, now shrouded in a veil of apathy and detachment, became a ghost of its former self. He was a stranger to himself, a prisoner in a cell of his own design. The shadows whispered promises of escape, of finding solace in the depths of his own mind. They lured him deeper into the labyrinth, each turn leading him further away from the light. His sanctuary became his prison, the walls closing in with each passing day. The world outside faded into a distant memory, a place he no longer recognized or understood. The laughter that once filled his days was replaced by a chilling silence, broken only by the whispers that gnawed at the edges of his sanity. He became obsessed with conspiracy theories, his mind weaving elaborate narratives, connecting disparate events into a tapestry of paranoia and distrust. The world was out to get him, he convinced himself. Everyone was a suspect, every interaction a potential threat. He saw hidden meanings in everyday occurrences, his mind a breeding ground for fear and suspicion. His once rational thoughts were now distorted, warped by the insidious grip of his addiction. He clung to the belief that he was in control, that he could stop any time he wanted. But deep down, a seed of doubt had been planted. The shadows had taken root, their tendrils wrapping around his psyche, squeezing out any semblance of the man he once was. He was lost in the maze of his own mind, the exit nowhere in sight. The laughter had died in his throat, replaced by a silent scream for help that no one could hear. One night, adrift in a haze of paranoia and confusion, Daniel stumbled upon a YouTube channel. Man of Thoughts, the banner proclaimed, the title card a hypnotic spiral of colors and distorted imagery. Intrigued, he clicked, drawn in by the promise of answers, of someone who understood the strange, unsettling world he now inhabited. The host, a man named Ethan, spoke with a calm, measured voice that belied the unsettling nature of his words. He spoke of the power of the mind, of its ability to shape reality, to transcend the limitations of the physical world. He spoke of the dangers of unchecked exploration, of the shadows that lurked at the edge of consciousness, waiting to claim those who dared to venture too deep. Daniel found himself drawn to Ethan's words, a strange sense of recognition washing over him. Here was someone who understood, someone who had peered into the abyss and returned with a chilling message. He devoured Ethan's videos, each one a descent into the darkest recesses of the human experience. Ethan spoke of altered states, of the brain's plasticity, of the potential for both enlightenment and destruction that lay dormant within us all. He spoke of the dangers of addiction not just to substances but to ideas, to the seductive whispers of our own minds. He warned of the seductive nature of paranoia, of the ease with which we can construct elaborate narratives to explain away the chaos of the world around us. He spoke of the importance of critical thinking, of questioning everything, especially our own perceptions. Ethan's words struck a chord within Daniel, a flicker of recognition in the darkness that had enveloped him. He began to question his own perceptions, to see the cracks in the elaborate narratives he had constructed. The shadows, once so comforting, now seemed menacing, their whispers laced with a sinister undertone. He realized that the world he had created in his mind, a world of conspiracies and hidden agendas, was just that, a creation, a distortion of reality fueled by his own paranoia. The laughter of strangers, once a source of suspicion, now seemed innocent, even joyful. The world, he realized, was not out to get him. He had been his own worst enemy, his own jailer in this prison of his own making. But the realization, while liberating, was also terrifying. He had spent so long lost in the labyrinth that the path back to reality seemed treacherous, fraught with danger. The shadows, though weakened, still clung to him, their whispers tempting him back into the darkness. The fear remained, a constant companion, a reminder of how close he had come to losing himself completely. He knew he couldn't do it alone. He needed help, someone to guide him back to the light. He reached out to Ethan, pouring his heart out in a late-night email, confessing his struggles, his fears, his desperate desire to break free from the grip of addiction. He waited anxiously for a response, hoping against hope that Ethan would offer him a lifeline, a way out of the darkness.